Welcome to my series on how to decode matrix script 101, where we will talk about the why we need to know what gematria is, how to decode this script that is given to us on a daily basis within this system or this earth realm. And we will break down how you can recognize, understand, and read the numbers, letters, light angles, and seals based on the fact that all of existence is frequency and light. So let's get started with the basics, okay? And let's understand why we need to understand all of these crazy numbers and decodes, and understand me personally, because I am simply obsessed with numbers, and there is a very distinct reason why a lot of my decodes are centered around numerical values, and I will explain why. So at the basis, all of existence is frequency and light. When you're talking about existence on a quantum level, we are all light beings. You're talking about photon light at various degrees and angles of light. And you're talking about the density of light, which gives you the color spectrum or the spectrum or the variation of light. And in order for us to perceive light, we have our primitive eyes, which is our two eyes that operate in unison with our brain in order for us to be able to perceive reality. Now, I don't need to get that deep into this, but just to give you an example, in order for you to see colors, your brain actually interprets the colors that it is perceiving. Your eyes are not actually seeing the light spectrum. Your brain is interpreting the density of an object, meaning that whatever the numerical density, however light or dark within the color spectrum of this particular photon light thing or this substance or this matter, your brain is interpreting that number, and then in turn it is sending back a signal to your eyes to interpret the color spectrum, and that is how you see colors. You're not actually witnessing colors with these two lights. These are called the primitive eyes. You have a third eye in the middle of your forehead, and this acts as a pine-shaped kaleidoscope that can perceive various angles of light. The reason why they say that it's shaped like a pine cone is because if you've ever seen a pine cone, it's divided up in different angles. And this is a visual representation of what this particular eye looks like. It doesn't look like these two, which has, this one-dimensional kind of thing where you can only see what's in front of you. It has various angles. So if there's any type of light code or light being that is unperceivable to these primitive eyes, your third eye can perceive these light angles or beings or energies and all their various parts. So that brings me to light angles and talking about degrees of light as sentient energy. If all of existence is frequency and light, that means that all of existence is sentient, just like you. You are frequency and light. You are a photon light being. And we are all based in matter, which when we came into this realm, we fell into matter. There was a construct that was created that pretty much made all matter take the path of least resistance using magnetic resonance, which I explained in another video, and I will plug that video in here for your own reference so you can get a basis of how the light grid is created and how all of light is divided up and how we fell into matter in the first place, so that you can understand exactly why something like this would be necessary within a physical matter-based body, because we needed to be able to see each of the angles or degrees of light once we fell into matter and they became chopped up into various body parts. And you have humans that are encased in matter, you have animals that are encased in matter, you have insects that are encased in matter, you have parasites that are encased in matter. All of these different light angles encased in matter, and each of these light angles, photon light beings that exist within this earth realm, have a light code. They have a signature basically of angles and degrees of light, and that includes you. Yes, you yourself have your own seal of light that is a part of who you are, and it's based on your zodiac, it's based on your birth date, it's based on your frequency and your numerical pattern at the time of your birth. Your numbers and your frequency, as I explained in another video about how to break down your birthday, are the signature energy numerically, and that can also be broken down into degrees or angles of light. Okay, so we are all comprised of light, and in order for us to perceive any of the frequency in light, we need our primitive eyes and our third eye. Okay, which brings me into light angles and the effect on the brain and your energy. Okay, so why would you need a square and compass? Basically, you would need a square and compass, and if you know what I'm saying right here, then you know what I'm saying. You would need a square and compass in order for you to draw light angles, sigils, or degrees of light. Okay, and basically, when you are dealing with anything that involves a seal, anything that involves a degree of light, or any form of light angle, anything that is curved lines, and usually these seals are comprised of lines, circles. You have some triangles in there, and you have some arches in there, and various arches. Okay, and some of these seals, just like in the seals of Solomon and the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, when you're talking about daemon or jinn, basically you're talking about the chopped up angles or degrees of light that are representations of various arcs of light or degrees or angles. And these degrees or angles can be put together. Okay, using a square and compass, you can draw, you can draw your circle, you can draw your lines, you can draw your angles, your circles, your triangles, right, to comprise various frequency and light or light angles and seals that control or affect the brain or your energy. Okay, so if you're wondering why would you need to do this and why would you need to have this, it is because all of these various degrees or angles of light and the alphabet and numbers are definitely exactly the same thing, and your third eye is perceiving each of these angles of light, just like a sigil or a seal within the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon. For a light angle, let's say Beelzebub or Baal has its own very distinct set of light angles. You are looking at sentient energy when you're looking at numbers and letters, because again, these are all degrees and angles of light. Okay, so your third eye is also perceiving. You may see these with your two primitive eyes, but your third eye is perceiving these angles just like these types of seals. Okay, and these are sentient energies, they are frequencies. So when you're talking about, okay, well, we're looking at numbers and letters, how is that affecting me? Well, a lot of people say that they see angel numbers, correct? And you see these 333s or 444s or 555s on the clock, and you're wondering how do I keep catching these numbers? No, the numbers are catching you. There is an energy that vibrates when these numbers align, and this is basically the sentient energy that these seals represents. And you are sensitive enough within your third eye, or awakened enough, so that you can sense these numbers, and when they pop up, you look, because these energies are sentient and they are calling out to you. I personally have had this happen to me before, and that is when I realized that, hey, these are actually sentient energies. So